Namaste. Hello. And here we are with yet another story just for you. And it's called As Dear as Salt. It's a story from long, long ago. And maybe not so long ago. Maybe just the other day. From maybe far, far away. And probably not so far away. Maybe just round the corner. This is the story of a wonderful kingdom with a very kind king and queen. They had a very happy family. They had three sons and one daughter, and everybody in their kingdom seemed as happy as they were. Because I think that the king and the queen shared everything they had with everybody. And so there was nobody who was too poor and there was nobody who was too rich. And so people could enjoy things together. They had a lot of fun doing that, I tell you. But one day, I don't know what got into the king's mind, and he said, I know the people of my land love me, but I want to know if my children love me. Am I dear to them? I want to know. And so he called his children. He called them one by one. And he said, Tell me, I know I love you. I love you deeply. I love you very dearly. You are my children and you are after my very own heart. But I want to know if you love me. And I want to know how much you love me. So it was the turn of the eldest prince. Now all of them were being trained to become good rulers, both the princes and the princess. And so the first prince stepped forward and he said, Father, I treasure you. I treasure you and I love you. I love you as much as there are stars in the sky. The king said, Oh, that's a lot of stars. And nobody has ever been able to count the stars. My son truly loves me so much that he can't even say how much. So the king was very happy. And he said, all right, and called the second son. So, young man, tell us. I want to know if you love me. And if you do, how much do you love me? How dear am I to you? And the second prince thought carefully. And he said, Father, I love you very deeply. Very, very deeply. And I love you more than all the stars that I could ever count in the sky, and the planets, and the clouds, and the sun, and the moon, and everything there is beyond this world. The king was mighty pleased. He said, Oh my goodness, I am so loved, and this child of mine, oh how dear I am to him. Let me see what my third son has to say about how dear I am to him. Come, 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 come. Come on, little one. Tell us, how dear am I to you? And so the third prince thought a bit and then said, Father, I love you more than everything beyond this world and below the trees that hold this world together. Everything that is below and within this world. The king said, So you say that you love me as much as all the worlds put together, the worlds without, beyond the earth, and the worlds unseen within the earth. So that includes the oceans and the seas and the depths of the earth that one cannot see. Truly indeed, my dear, you are little, but oh, how deep your love runs for me. I am so dear to you, and I am so glad I decided to ask you this. I never knew how dear I am to you. I always wondered. And so then he turned to the princess, his favorite. He loved her ever so much. And he said, little one, come, come here, come, sit on my lap and tell me, how much do you love me? I think your love is going to be far greater than anything anyone has spoken about so far. So tell me, little one, how dear am I to you? And she looked at him and she said, Father, you are as dear to me as salt. The king was surprised, astonished, astounded, angry, furious, flabbergasted, all at once. What was this child of his saying to him? As dear as salt? That's it? Plain, ordinary salt? Couldn't you think of anything? Couldn't you have just repeated any one of the things that you heard your brothers talk about? And you just say, I'm as dear to you as salt? You, my dear, have no place to be in this palace with your ideas of dearness, which are as small and as petty as common salt. You, my dear, must not remain in the palace anymore. You deserve to go be with commoners, not even from this land, from another land. So I banish you right now. You shall be left at the outskirts of the kingdom, and from there you shall make your own way. The little girl didn't know what this meant. She was being sent into exile, but she didn't even know what exile was. So she thought she had to be on her own, which was true. She was going to be alone, which was true. She had to manage all by herself, which was also true. So, before the sun set, she was taken and she was left on the borders of the kingdom. And from there, she started walking. And she walked, and she walked, and she walked. She walked by day and she walked by night. She crossed rivers and mountains and forests and everything you can imagine, between one kingdom and another, and another, and another, and another, until she had lost count of how many kingdoms she had crossed. And then she came to this kingdom where there seemed to be some sort of ceremony going on. So she decided to wait there. And she looked, and all the people of the kingdom had gathered. And that was where she heard the town crier announcing. He was beating his drum. Dum dum da da dum da da dum da da dum. Dum da da dum da da dum. Dum dum da da dum da da dum da da dum. Come one, come all. There is sad news, but there's also now a new beginning. And as has been the custom in our kingdom always, over centuries, when one king passes away, when one king dies, when one king passes on, another is appointed. And it will not be his son or his daughter or his wife, but it will be someone chosen by that bird, the royal falcon, that will fly overhead and sit upon the chosen person's shoulder. And so, all those of you who would like to rule this kingdom, come forth, come to the center of the stadium and gather here and see, try your luck. Let's see if you are the chosen one. And so, the little princess thought, why not? Why not me? Why not? And she decided to go forth. And she went, and that was where the bird was flying. And she stood with all the others who wanted to be chosen. Everybody closing their eyes, some saying their prayers, some just waiting to be chosen, wanting to be the ruler of this new land. And there came this bird and sat upon the princess's shoulder. And lo and behold, everybody said, there, we have found our queen. This young lady shall rule this land hereon. And so it was. The little princess now became the queen of this new land. Little did she know that life would take such a turn. But you never know what happens. From rags to riches one day, and from riches to rags another, and from rags again to riches another day. Who knows? Anything is possible. And so she took a little while to get the hang of running her kingdom, to get a fix on things, to be able to do things that were required by the people, because their king had been ill for quite a while and nobody had been able to attend to their needs. So she decided to put things in order, which she did, and she had been trained well. Her father had taught her well, remember. So she did that. And then one day she said, I would like to hold a banquet and call all the kings and queens of the neighboring lands. Let them come and share a meal with us and share our newfound stability, our newfound joys, our newfound peace, our newfound harmony. And so it was announced. Invitations were made, beautiful scrolls on which the invites were written and were taken by messengers to kingdoms in the neighboring area. And so her father, the king of the land where she was born, also received the invitation. And on the day of the banquet, he came, along with hundreds of other kings and queens and princes and princesses. There was her father. And she had reserved the seat right next to her. She sat at the head of the table, and it was a table that went on for miles, because there were kings and queens, and some of them had come with their princes and their princesses, and some with their ministers. They didn't want to miss the opportunity, you see, of going abroad and seeing a new land. So they all came, and they enjoyed the meal. There were all kinds of dishes, beautiful dishes laid out. And they praised it. And they said, oh, how wonderful is this food. How wonderful. And the ministers were quick to add, oh, it's our queen who decided the menu. And she's the one who gave us all the recipes. So these are very special dishes you have here today. But the king who sat next to her, her father, he was most upset. He said, how can you praise this food? There is no salt in it at all. princess, now the queen, she turned to him and she said, "Oh, do you miss salt?" And he said, "Of course, who doesn't miss salt? Who can eat just boiled vegetables with no salt? What use are all the spices if there's no salt? It's of no use." So the princess said, "Are you sure? Or have you changed your mind since a long time ago? Wasn't it you who banished your child, your little princess?" Because she said, "You were as dear as salt" to her. And the king looked at her carefully. He was used to seeing his little princess all decked up in finery, in fine clothes, with a tiara on her head always. He had never seen her without a tiara. But the princess had seen difficult times. She knew how useless a tiara was. She knew how useless those dresses with gems and silver and gold were. She dressed very simply. She had no crown, but she held herself with the grace of a queen, and you could tell when she walked, and from the way she talked, and from the way she sat, and from the way she conducted herself, that she was the queen. She needed no tiara. So the king had to look hard, and he looked hard into her eyes and says, "Is it you?" He said, "Is it you? Is it you, my child? Oh, it's been so long. How beautifully you've turned out. But this food, it has no salt. You haven't given up your love for salt, have you? Your ways of comparing everything with salt." He says, "Father, can't you see? Even you can't do without it. All I was saying was, I couldn't do without you. That was how much I loved you. I didn't know how to say it in any other way. I wish you had understood my innocent words." And the king thought. He said, "Yes, how foolish of me. Oh, how quick-tempered I was. How brash a decision that was, to send you off like that, my young child. How could I have done that? Would you forgive me?" She said, "Oh, Father, come on. Where is the question of forgiveness when there is love? There is no need for forgiveness. Of course, I love you. And I accept it. I accepted being banished, and I accept your acceptance of me again. And that's all that matters." And so the king held her. He hugged her tight. And he said, "Oh, you are as dear as salt to me, my little one." And they had a good laugh over something that could have been very, very bitter. So that's our story about As Dear as Salt. See you around soon again, online, with another story very soon. Bye.